Hello and welcome to today's video. My name is Anniken. I design knitting patterns, I teach knitting workshops online and in person, and I sell yarn through my website yarnaddict.co.uk. You can find all the links to everything I'm going to talk about below this video, which is mainly this cowl. That's mainly what I'm going to talk about today. So this is my cool cowl. This version was knitted in Spectrum Fibre, which is the pink yarn, and Orchidee Luxury Yarns, which is the lighter variegated yarn. I knitted this one at the end of last year, I think, and originally I knitted another version in Monosly Uruguay Silk Blend, which was this kind of size, and then when I knitted this one I originally made it longer so I could fold it over. So if you saw any of my pictures from Norway, it was kind of folded over like that, quite chunky. Oh, I've got a bit of yarn I've caught there which I must fix. So it was kind of folded over, it was quite chunky, quite big, and I did that specifically because I wanted to wear it in Norway. And even in Norway it wasn't that cold while I was there. About a month ago it was about, I think the coldest it got to during the day was about -7, but most of the time it was around about 0, so it wasn't that cold. So when I got home, the few times I wore this, I just found it too warm. And even this week it's been quite cold, and I actually wore this morning, but it's quite cold and windy today. But even then, wearing this, I found it quite warm enough with it like this without having to fold it over. So what I decided to do was to actually unpick quite a big section. You'll see in a minute how much I unpicked, so that I can wear it like this rather than having to fold it over. I can still fold it over. Let's turn it around so that bit doesn't show. So I can still fold it over if I want to, but most of the time I wear it like this. And I did this last week and I worn it quite a lot over the weekend. Went for a walk yesterday and I wore it, and I wore it today when I went for a walk, and I'm much happier with this than the original version. So in this video I'm going to show you how I unpicked. So I picked quite a big section of brioche, and I'm going to show you how I did that without messing anything up and dropping any stitches. I know brioche can be a bit intimidating, especially if you're new to brioche, so I hope this video gives you a little bit of confidence in how to approach it if you need to unpick brioche. Obviously this is syncopated brioche, so there's no increases and decreases and like complicated brioche patterning. It is just switching the colours over, so it's not too difficult to unpick, but hopefully this will give you a little bit of a confidence and see my approach to it. This is the course pattern, which is available on Ravelry and Payhip, and I'll put the links to the pattern below as well. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing, and I hope you enjoyed this video. So I've actually already done some of this before I decided that maybe I should film it. So first I want to apologise, my nails are a disaster today, but I did want to film this, so you'll have to put up with my chipped nails, I'm afraid. So I've decided I want to unravel this bit. I've also caught it in a couple of places, like there and here, which I could just, if that happens, I would have just woven that in, but I haven't gone around to it. So I've decided to basically unravel this bit. Now this is the cast off edge, so I worked out where my beginning of the round was, and then I went down to here, and then I started putting my needle in, and I basically, if I show you up here, I'm basically taking a guess at where I need to put the needle in. So I've taken one pink stitch, which is the knit stitch, and then the pearl stitch has the yarn over as well, because this is obviously brioche. So this is 2-color brioche. So you want to, that's the knit stitch, that's the easiest to identify. You want to go into one leg of the knit stitch. It doesn't matter if you do the left or the right leg, but if you go the right leg, your stitch won't be twisted. And then the next stitch will be the pearl stitch, and then you need to pick up the yarn over from the pink stitch as well. If you don't manage to catch the yarn over, that's not a problem. You can always fix that later, as long as the important thing is to get the stitch. What I did find a little bit difficult was to actually make sure I stuck to the right row every single time. So I think that some of these, I think I started off okay, then I may occasionally have gone one round above or below where I'm supposed to be, but that's okay. I'm not worried about that. I do recommend, especially with brioche and also with lace knitting, that you perhaps aim for a couple of rows above where you want to be, so that you can pick it, just unpick one round, just stitch by stitch. So I have found out where my ends were and I started unpicking them. And so I'm just going to finish. I cast off in this pink one. I've already unpicked the contrasting color, but I cast off with this pink one. So if you struggle to find the beginning of the round, you can just snip one of these strands. It doesn't really matter unless you need that yarn. If you're not sure where to pull, if you pull on the tail, see if you can see it actually moving anywhere, which I can't. There we go. There we go. And so you want to make sure you get to, no, that's not, there we go. If you pull on a strand and it doesn't budge, then it's probably the wrong strand. I do find undoing the tail the most difficult bit quite often. So sometimes I get frustrated if I have to do this and I just end up cutting it, which is fine. Especially when we're this far above where we want to unravel to. Where does that go? There we go. Okay, I think I'm getting there. Where is it? There we go. There it is. Where is it going next? There we go. And there it is. Right, so that's my join. So you can see as soon as I start pulling on that, it starts to unravel. So because this is the cast off edge, I can just pull on this and unravel it. If this was the cast on edge, I would probably have cut it a couple of rounds above where I wanted to unravel to, and then unraveled and picked one round to separate the two pieces. But with this one, I thought it's easier to unravel it at the cast off edge. If the yarn has got slightly fuzzy or felted, then it can be difficult to unravel it. So in that case, I would probably cut it a couple of rounds above where I wanted to unpick to. But I wouldn't mind, see if I can salvage this yarn because it's such a pretty color. So just unravel the two colors, and I'm going to speed this up so you don't have to sit here and watch me unravel all these colors. Then I'll come back and show you what happens. Just wanted to show you this. I've nearly finished unraveling now, but it basically has allowed me to unravel the pink while you see that, how I've unraveled the pink for a couple more rounds than the lighter yarn. I thought that was really cool, so I thought I would just show you that. So I could have probably unraveled all the pink in one go and then done all the contrasting colour, but I stopped and alternated. So nearly there now. So now I'm starting to have problems because remember I said I didn't think I'd managed to catch the right row on every single time, which is definitely the case. So now I'm going to start and picking row by row. I recommend having some of these are bundled together for some reason. I recommend having some of these padlock stitch markers handy, so that if you have accidentally forgotten a stitch or missed a stitch, that's okay. And then I'm also going to find a stitch marker just so I know where the beginning of my round is. Now I'm not 100% sure that this is the beginning of the round, but I think it is. If it's not, I should be able to tell. So that first stitch was okay. That stitch is okay, so you can see that stitch has the yarn over as well. If I didn't pick up the yarn over, it would either drop down on that side, in which case it's fairly easy to see, or it would drop down on that side, which is more difficult to see. But so you want to try and make sure you can either have the, depending on which row you unpick, you can either have the yarn overs over the purl stitches or the knit stitches. It just depends on which round you unpick. So I'm doing it over the purl stitches because that means I'm ready to start a round one, if that makes sense, or the first of the two rounds to make the brioche stitch. If you haven't done brioche before, this may not make a lot of sense. So now I've got a few where I managed to pick up the right row, so that's okay. I think I actually want to do another round because this is just where I flipped the colours. I'm actually going to go back, and to save myself a little bit of time, let's go back. I think I want to go down another round because this is just where I changed from that being a purl stitch to being a knit stitch. So that means that I want to, there we go. So that means that I want the yarn over the knit stitches if I'm going to do that. Sorry, so when where I originally started picking up, the pink stitches were knit stitches, but I actually want the last of the row where the pink stitches were purl stitches. So I want the pink stitches to have the yarn over and the light color stitches to not have the yarn over. I think that's what I want. So that means I've got to go down there. Because otherwise, once I get to the end of the round, I'm going to have to unpick another round. So I might as well do it like this. I find it easier to work out where to put the stitch if I can hold these strands tight. Obviously, I knit continental, so I just hold them in my left hand. You can hold them in your right hand. It doesn't matter. There we go. So I've got the knit stitches are the light colour and the purl stitches are the darker colour. Or the pink colour. There we go. So as well as picking up the correct, because I think I picked up on a couple of different rounds, but I'm also just picking one whole round as well. And what I'm keeping an eye on is that I haven't missed one stitch, because I just got to make sure I've got every single one, because that's obviously very important. Because if you forget one, say for example, I find that I hadn't picked up that one, that will start unraveling. And if I happen to see one that I haven't picked up, then if I got one of these handy, if I can't put my needle into it, I can put one of these into it to secure it. But I don't think I've missed any. It's relatively easy with a rib because you're alternating knit and purl stitches as you're picking up the stitches. Now I could have just undone the cast off edge and just unraveled and then put my needle in when I got to this point. But you do risk some rounds unraveling further, and if it's stocking stitch, that wouldn't bother me because I'm fairly confident about picking up stocking stitch. Even garter stitch is a little bit more difficult, but with lace knitting and brioche knitting, I would rather not have any single row unraveling any further than it has to, because that's difficult. So my circle needle is a bit longer than what I really should have used. I'm doing what's called the traveling loop method. So it's not the magic loop where you have 2 loops. You only have 1 loop in one side, and that's just so that the needle isn't too tight to be working with. So on some of these stitches I'm just unraveling and picking 1 round, and some is a couple of rounds. Like here, you can see these bits here. That's because I picked up basically on the wrong row. I picked up on a row below, I think, where I thought I was picking up. Okay, so I'm going to just put some music over this and finish unpicking this, and then I'll come back and show you what I'm going to do next. Okay, I got to the beginning of the round. Just as I pulled the yarn for the final stitch, it dropped off my needle. So that's the final stitch. So I'm just going to, because it's splitting slightly, so if the stitch is splitting a bit, just try and catch most of it. So it's unraveled 1 round. So I'm going to pick up the yarn over, pink yarn over, and then just pull that strand at the back through. Okay, so I think the beginning of the round, I think that is the beginning of the round. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think it really matters. Let's just unpick a couple of, there we go. So let's call that the beginning of the round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I count the stitches here, this column of knit stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Whereas here it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, they've all got 6. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, okay, so that's fine because they've all got, all the columns of knit stitches have got six rows. So that's fine. So we're going to say that that's correct. And then I'm going to knit in the pink one now. So I'm just going to do a few stitches, just because if you stop at the beginning of the round is, then stitch marker will just fall off. So that's it. Now I can do my final, I think it's 1 or 2 rounds at the end just to finish it off before I cast off again. And I'm going to do that in the pink. So I'll go and finish this off now, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. So as you can see, this is the finished result after I re-knitted it and cast off. I cast off in the same colour I cast on, and I'm very happy with it. And as I said earlier, I've worn it quite a lot since I finished it, and I think this is my favourite cowl that I've knitted this winter. I've knitted quite a few cowls this winter. It is chilly today, so I am well wrapped up in my Cadson sweater and my Turtle Doves hand warmers. This is a Cadson sweater available from Ravelry and Payhip because it is a bit chilly today. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing, and do let me know if you found this video helpful, or if you have any questions, pop them below this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.